Okay, so just out in North Devon, having a bit of a ride out. I've got some beautiful weather, blue skies. Going to be a good day. Going to be a busy day down at the beach. Just out for an early morning ride on the new Suzuki 1050 XT. It's a bike I've got on loan from Suzuki to do a three-bike comparison with this, the Moto Guzzi V8 5TT and the Triumph Tiger 900 GT. I've been out on the bike a few times, good few long rides. Just been out again, just did a little bit of gentle green laning, nothing too tricky. I don't know if you can see that from the sun, but yeah, I mean, I just want to do a quick video really. I think the Vstrom Thou has always been a really good bike that's been hugely overlooked. I think mainly because on the spec sheet it never really shouts about anything. It's neither the most powerful or lightest or most technologically advanced. It's basically got nothing on the spec sheet to single it out, and visually it always looked a bit average as well. But if, as a bike to live with day to day, I was always impressed with it. I thought it was a great package and very versatile, and also great value. Would I ever have bought one with my own money? And I think that was always a question I could never really answer positively. I don't think I ever would have spent £10,000 on a V-Strom. I would have bought a second-hand one for say £6,000, but 10,000 on a new one, probably not. I think the 1050 visually solves a lot of the issues. I mean that's quite I mean, you can't say it's not a striking design or striking colour scheme. Whether you like the fact that it mimics the old Dr. Big bike or not, I think it's down to taste. I mean, I really like what they've done to it this year. The yellow is quite a strong, bold statement, but I think to me, I mean, already the bugs seem to like it. To me, it really sets it off. The red and white one are probably the most subtle ones to go for, and I think there's a black XT as well. How does it ride? You know, I don't know what Suzuki have done, because when you look through the press pack, all they've done is make it Euro 5 compliant. Do a few more internal engine changes, add some cornering ABS and a few other electronics, ride-by-wire throttle, etc., cruise control. But in terms of the chassis, suspension, wheels, they have changed the tyres, but really so little difference in the bike, and I think it was easier to write the bike off as a reskim before even throwing a leg over it. But I got to say, it's I don't know how they've done it, but it's almost a transformation. It's almost a transformation in the sense that it feels far more dynamically engaging. Like the engine just loves to rev now. It's far more willing than it used to. To me, it used to be a short shifting engine. You know, there was never really a lot to gain by stretching it out. And it used to be a 4,000 RPM upshift, 4,000 RPM upshift. Whereas now it just kind of wants to rev and rev and rev, and it's a far more invigorating ride as a result. And you know, it's just made it, you want to ride it more. And I think that's a good thing. Some people have said, oh, you know, it's a mistake to raise the peak torque figure, but I think when you ride it, I don't think that's an issue. You've still got lots of low down torque, pickup's clean, it's strong in the mid range, but then now you've got a top end rush, which I don't ever remember you having on the old one. So I think the engine transformation's a real strong point. It certainly feels stronger and faster and quicker than it used to. I think it's up to 105 brake horsepower now, so only up sort of 10 brake horsepower on the old one, but it feels a lot stronger. And you know, you could say, well, it weighs 12 kilos more this year, but it doesn't feel 12 kilos heavier. So from an engine point of view, it feels stronger, sharper, better. From a chassis point of view, I was talking to Llewellyn Pavey from Brake Magazine the other day, and you know, he said the same. Suzuki have not announced any changes to the chassis or anything that really would change the way the bike rides, and yet it feels as though it rides a very different way. It feels like the engine, it feels sharper, faster, more engaging, more dynamically able, and it makes you want to ride it quicker. I've got to be honest. The other one used to carry a very sedate pace everywhere, whereas now I just don't know, it's got more attitude. The bike has a lot more attitude, and I think it needed that. It's given it more character. And I think with the V-Strom, it lacked a little bit of character. Its character was that it was a good, versatile, reliable machine. But that's not always enough to sell a bike or impress you on a test ride. Because I think what they've done now is make, whoa, it goes quick. And it corners really cleanly and sharply, and it's agile. And I think even the subtle things like the ride-by-wire throttle And the fueling has overcome all that sort of lurchiness and sort of on-offness that you used to get with the old ones. So, you know, through town when you roll on and off the throttle, sometimes it like the fueling just wouldn't catch up with what you were doing, and then you get almost a shutdown of the engine as it sort of, and you could ride around it by a bit of throttle slip, clutch slip, and you know, you learnt its traits, but it was never as easy to ride low speed as you would have liked. Whereas this, it's just easy to ride. It's very easy to pick a smooth way through towns and cities. And I don't know if they've changed the handlebar position or the width of the handlebars, but it feels to have a lot more leverage or low speed control than the old one. So yeah, I think the way the bike rides is kind of chalk and cheese, which is not what I expected to say about basically a reskimmed update. I think other things are nice on it. You know, people have criticised the screen for the adjustment being on the outside. Well, yeah, it's on the outside, but I mean, how easy is that? That's a really nice, easily adjustment. And you know, once it's in position, how often do you change that? I don't personally ride along changing my screen or moving my screen around. And what's also very important is that the old bike, it had a terrible screen. Most people fitted the Jivy airflow and they changed the mirrors because the mirrors were like barn doors, really big, and I used to get a lot of buffeting in my ears. I get tinnitus, and you know, the Vstrom was one of those bikes where you never set off without a set of earplugs, you know, properly engaged, or else I couldn't ride it. Now I've been riding with my visor up, a peaked helmet, and I've got no buffeting, no buzzing in my ear or anything. So I think the changes they've made to the screen, the dynamic, the airflow area is a huge improvement for touring. Just going through it, I mean, the handguards are more flimsy than ever, which is a bit of a shame. But I think if you were doing any off-roading, I think bark busters. The TFT screen is probably the worst TFT screen in the history of TFT screens. I'm not sure why they've gone for such a dated look. I'm sure there must have been something better out there, but maybe cost or something. And apparently the colour is there to mimic the original colours of the DR Dr. Big screen, which is a bit, you know, a bit of novelty history. But I think it could have been a little bit better. It does let the bike down a touch, but you can still see your fuel and your revs and your gear and your speed. So, you know, is it a deal breaker? No, obviously it's not a deal breaker. Not when you've got some nicely laid out controls, easy to activate cruise control, set mode. You know, it's really nice and easy to use when you're riding. The ones that have cruise control operations on the right cluster are just, to me, an absolute pain in the arse, which I gather the new Africa Twin has got its cruise control on the right. And for me, trying to hold a steady throttle and press a button with my thumb, difficult. I think, you know, Suzuki have done a good job with this to incorporate the new electronic package without ruining the usability of the bike. We've got new tyres for this year. We've got the Adventure tyres, the Bridgestone Adventures, the Battle Axe Adventures, which just seem, I don't know, you know, maybe they play a part in the way the bike now handles on the road, the extra crispness of the handling. We've got new engine guards. I think these are quite nicely designed, quite subtle. And I think I've seen these side hoops on the Benelli and a few other sort of Chinese origin bikes. And I think it works quite nicely, actually. Just from dropping those bikes, they do work. So I do quite like that touch. It keeps it subtle. I think Suzuki, obviously, you know, we're not pretending it's an off-road bike. Not when you've got an oil filter and header pipe that protrude before the actual engine guard. And I think if you look underneath, you know, if you hit a stone step on that, I think you've just pancaked your exhaust. So, you know, let's be under no illusion, this is no off-road warrior. This is a road bike that can do a bit of gentle green, not gentle green laning, but a gentle bit of fire track like this if you need to. And I think it's nice touch. We've now got removable rubber pegs. I think that's quite a nice touch. Centre stand is standard on the XT. I think that's a good touch. And they've also removed the exhaust valve, which used to look crap and also get covered in crud and things and foul up. So I think that's also beneficial. We've still got a huge barn door exhaust pipe, but most people fit aftermarket anyway. 2-step seat on this XT, which is height adjustable, 2-stage height adjustable. And it's also got a 12-volt charger under there, which I think is a really nice touch. You know, you could plug your phone in or a second device, a GoPro or something while you're touring, and charge that up. I think that's a nice feature they've thought that through. New LED indicators on the XT, and obviously the new square lamp on the front. I think that's about it, really. I think the XT, to me, is a far more appealing package. You've got the cruise control, the centre stand, the cornering ABS, the adjustable screen, the 12-volt charger, the nifty indicators. You've got the more exciting colour options. I think the base model is quite unappealing, if I'm honest. And I think for the price, the XT makes a lot more sense. I think the only frustrating thing for a lot of V-Strom owners is a lot of them don't want wire wheels. There's no benefit for most people having wire wheels other than aesthetics. But they're a pain in the arse to clean, especially these. They are tubeless, which is nice. But I've had, when I've had V-Stroms before, taking back a press bike, and I like taking them back clean, and trying to clean all in here is a pain. And they're not stainless spokes either, so they can very quickly look tarnished, that wheel. So I think what Suzuki really should have done is done a GT pack with all the niceties of the XT, but with the cast wheels of the non-XT. I think that would have probably ticked a lot more boxes. I hear that dealers or one dealer in particular, well, I know with one dealer who swapped out XT wheels for cast wheels, so they are willing to do that. But I think if they'd have put out that there was a GT model, that would have been better. I think the difficulty for Suzuki is a lot of the existing V-Strom customers maybe like the bike because it's good value and it's discreet and it's comfortable and it doesn't shout a lot. It's not trying to be something it's not. And then the new one, they've gone all out with the styling and the colours, and I think the seat's a little bit slimmer, and it's a bit slimmer that way and a bit slimmer that way. And so I think there's some of the guys on the forums especially who think they've gone too far down the adventure route, and Suzuki might inadvertently have alienated the existing market, or some of them. But I think they were sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Suzuki needs new people on this bike. They need to sell more of these. They need to sell more V-Stroms, and the only way they could have done that really was to get more headline figures and make the bike more sort of dynamic and showy, make it more extrovert, which I think it is for this year. That's not going to suit everyone though. So I certainly think though to me the 1050 is a much better bike than the Thou, and that's not to say the Thou wasn't a good bike. And when I say Thou and the 1050, I think most people know that the actual engine capacity is exactly the same. It's a marketing exercise really, but I just think the way this bike now rides is a nice, good step. And I would say to anyone, I know there's some tempting deals on the 1000, but if you can stretch to the 1050, I think to me you're getting a far more rewarding, far more engaging bike than the Thou. In terms of its competitors, to me the Africa Twin has always been one of those bikes that people are buying, but I'm not sure it's the right machine. 21-inch front wheel, soft suspension. I'm not sure it's the good road bike that people possibly need in that type of machine. And I've always thought the V-Strom probably would suit more people more. I think in terms of value, I think the V-Strom stacks up really nicely against, say, something like a 790 Adventure, which to me are a little bit lackluster for the price. I know the R model obviously is great if you're into off-roading and dual sport riding, but I think there may be the base 790 Adventure at 11.5 grand, although there's good deals on that. To me the V-Strom offers more bike. And then you've got, I guess, if you're road touring, Tracer 900s, the new BMW XR 900. So there's a lot out there. Against the Guzzi, the V8 5TT, this is a far more dynamically engaging ride. I think it's easy to say that after about 10 minutes down the road. This is far quicker, brisker, sharper handling, more joyful to ride when you're kind of riding spiritedly. It's not got the shaft drive, and it's not got the big 23-litre tank of the Guzzi, and it's not got the character of the Guzzi, as immeasurable as that is. So I'm not sure whether if I had to take one bike, the Guzzi or the V-Strom, I'm not sure actually. It's thrown a bit of a spanner in the works, but we'll see. I'll get out on the Guzzi later, try and make some comparisons. But that's it. V-Strom 1050 XT. I'm going to say it's an 8 out of 10 bike, and I think it's going to appeal to a lot of people and tick a lot of boxes. So give it a go. Cheers.